Hello friends and welcome to Knowledge Bharti. I am Bhavna Patidar here and today we are going to discuss John Milton. So we have earlier seen introduction of John Milton and we have also discussed some very important works of John Milton. We have seen what other writers had to say about John Milton. We have seen William Blake, Edmund Burke, William Wordsworth, Harold Bloom, T.S. Eliot, and we have seen his three works written in the early stage of John Milton on Morning of Christ Nativity, on Shakespeare, and the third one is on Arriving at 23. We have also seen two companion poems written by John Milton, and these are La Allegro and Il Penseroso, and these titles are written in Italian. Now we will see a very important work written by John Milton, and that is Comus. The subtitle of Comus is A Masque presented at Ludlow Castle in honor of chastity. So the subtitle of Comus is A Masque written by a masque presented at Ludlow Castle in honor of chastity. And John Milton dedicated this work Comus to John Egerton, and John Egerton is the Lord President of Wales, and John Milton wrote Comus in the honor of John Egerton. Now we will see plot of Comus. There were two brothers and a sister in Comus, and they lost their path in woods. Sister referred in the play as lady, and this lady meets immoral character Comus in the play. Comus here disguises as a villager. Comus is an immoral character and he disguises himself as a villager. He takes lady to his castle, and the name of the castle is Pleasure Palace. So the villager, or we can say Comus takes the lady to his castle named Pleasure Palace. In the palace, she is bound. Comus attacks her, offers her a cup to drink. Cup here symbolizes sexual pleasure and overindulgence. So we have already seen that the Comus is a immoral character. He is attacking on the lady. Now, brother of the lady come across a person, that is spirit, and spirit is a good spirit. Spirit disguises as a shepherd here. In the Comus, everyone is disguising their character. So the Comus disguises himself as a villager. Good spirit disguises as a shepherd. Now comes a Sabrina, and Sabrina is a water nymph. Sabrina rescues the lady, and the lady remains chaste throughout the play. Okay, so Sabrina is a water nymph and she rescues the lady from the comas or villager. So we have seen the work written by John Milton, that is Comus. Now we will see a very important poem written by John Milton, and that is Lycidas. As we all know that Lycidas is an elegy. Okay, wait for a minute. We will study Lycidas now. So Lycidas is an elegy to lament death of friend Edward King, and John Milton wrote this poem to sorry, where I was. Yes. John Milton wrote this poem for his friend Edward King. Edward King drowned due to boating. So Edward King and John Milton, they were friends in the Cambridge College, and Edward King drowned due to boating, and to lament death of his friend Edward King, John Milton wrote an elegy called Lycidas. Dr. Samuel Johnson criticized Lycidas. Why? And he says, where there is a leisure for fiction, there is a little grave. Dr. Samuel Johnson here is saying that where there is leisure for fiction, there is a little grave. There are 6 sections in the poem Lycidas. There also exists a prologue and an epilogue in the poem Lycidas, written by John Milton. Milton and Edward King disguised as a shepherd. So again, the concept of disguising is like frequently used by John Milton in his works. So again in the poem Lycidas, Milton and Edward King disguised as a shepherd. Milton is evoking Muse in the poem Lycidas. Milton has also evoked Muse in his another poem, that is Paradise Lost. Milton, not to write to poem till my power became measure. So as we all know, as I already said, that Milton was not about to write at this time because he wanted to become mature enough to write, but due to his friend Edward King, is he drowned and now he is dead, Milton is writing in his memory. So he is saying he is writing due to the death of friend. Okay, Edward King in the poem Lycidas is represented as Lycidas itself, and John Milton is talking untimely death of Edward King in the poem Lycidas. John Milton is also talking about their life at Cambridge College. Okay, and as we all know that John Milton was suspended from the college. Why? Because he had dispute with his tutor. John Milton asked Muse where she was when Edward died. So, as we have seen that John Milton evoked Muse in the poem Lycidas also, and he is asking Muse where she was when Edward King died. Like when he was drowning, then Muse was where? A procession of mourners lamenting Lycidas' death, led by a Titan, Greek god, evoked by Milton, reference to Saint Peter, supporter of Protestant Church, a procession of mourners. John Milton here presenting a scene in which a procession of mourners they are representing lamenting Lycidas' death. They are lamenting death of Lycidas, led by Titan, and who is leading them? Titan. Titan is a Greek god, evoked by Milton. Milton evoked Muse also, and Milton evoked Greek god, that is Titan. Reference to Saint Peter, and Titan here is representing Saint Peter, and Saint Peter is supporter of Protestant Church. Okay, and also John Milton is lamenting church condition in the poem Lycidas. He is saying that church need reforms, and thus he laments church conditions. John Milton is also expressing his feelings on the death of Lycidas, and here Lycidas is King Edward. John Milton wishes good luck to Edward after death. Here John Milton in this poem Lycidas is wishing good luck to Edward King after death. He is saying that you have a good life after death. John Milton believed in immortality, that no one dies but always remain immortal. Grief and sorrows are temporary. John Milton here in the poem is saying grief and sorrows are temporary and are not permanent, and this will also fade away. John Milton says Lycidas is died but has risen from death. So here in the poem Lycidas, John Milton is saying a very important line, and that is Lycidas is died but has risen from death. Through bare might of him that walked the ways. Through bare might of him that walked the ways. Lycidas is in heaven, therefore weep ye no more. Lycidas is in heaven, therefore weep ye no more. So these are lines from the poem Lycidas, and these are very important lines from point of net exam. And this lines continues as sweet societies that singing in their glory move and wipe the tears forever from his eyes, and wipe the tears from ever from his eyes. Okay, and in sixth section, as we already seen that there are six sections in the poem Lycidas. In the sixth section there is an epilogue. Okay, there is an epilogue, and in epilogue I want to make a poetic achievement. In epilogue John Milton is saying that I want to make an poetic achievement, and that's why I am writing this poem Lycidas. So there was a question in December 2015, and the question was, where there is a leisure for fiction, there is a little grave. And this line was for the poem Lycidas. Okay, so we have seen the very important works of John Milton. In this video, we have talked about the work Lycidas and Comus written by John Milton. Hope you like it, and if you like it, then please share and subscribe our channel. Till then, keep visiting Knowledge Bharti, and thank you once again. And we will be continuing works of John Milton in our next videos. Till then, thank you once again.